I'm going to be assembling the mechanical eye parts now. I've already installed the servo into the outer shell, and on the middle part of the eye I've already epoxied the control horn to the bottom of it. So when you're putting this mechanical eye together, you have these grooves right here on the side of the middle part, and basically when you put the centerpiece in, you're going to insert it in here, and then you're going to be putting screws in there eventually. But basically the way this works, when it's completely assembled, you're going to have screws that come through this slot that are connected to this. And as this piece rotates, servo is going to rotate this piece. This piece is going to be fixed with the screws that are going to come out of each side, one on each side. And those screws are going to ride this track as it rotates. And that's what's going to cause the silver piece to move up and down inside this middle part. So, and then those screws are going to go through the slot here, and the slot is what keeps this slot on the outer shell, keeps the silver inner eyepiece aligned and prevents it from rotating. And then the middle piece, as it rotates, this is going to ride up those grooves and either extend or retract the inner eyepiece into the middle eyepiece. So the first thing you want to do, basically all this needs to line up. All these grooves need to line up at this line here. There's one on each side of the outer shell. And then you have to make sure that when the servo is fully rotated, that you can still see part of, let me see if I can adjust that light. You can still see the track of the centerpiece. So what I normally do is I have a servo tester right here. I am going to rotate the servo in one direction to its maximum point. So this is rotating counterclockwise. I'm not sure if you can see that, but the servo is rotating counterclockwise. So with it in the full counterclockwise position, when I insert this middle piece, I want to make sure that I'm seeing, basically, I want to see just this part right here, just the last area or the highest area of the groove visible in that center track. And then I'm just going to gently push the control horn onto the servo, and I can still see a little bit of that track right there. So as I rotate this with the servo now in a clockwise position, I'm still able to see, I can see through that slot, I can see the groove in the middle piece. Now that time I'm noticing that I have a lot more groove left on the lower end than I do on the upper end. So I'm actually just going to pull this apart, and I just want to rotate this just a little bit clockwise, because I don't want the inner piece to bottom out. I think that was a little too much. There's only so many grooves that you can use, but you just have to find the next one. Okay, so now in the fully rotated position, I can see I have a little bit of space here. It's not fully rotated to where the middle groove is all the way at the top of the outer shell groove. It's about maybe a 1/4 inch down. But now as I rotate the servo to the full extent clockwise, see, now it's too far. So that's not good. So I need to rotate it counterclockwise a little bit more again. There we go. Let's try that. Yeah, that's looking better. So again, what you want to make sure of is that when you're rotating the servo, that you can still see some groove right here of the middle part. I don't know if that makes sense, but when you put it together, just trial fit it together and you'll kind of get an idea. So I'm going to hold this screw on with my finger and try to get it up into that servo. And then just gently start it, make sure it's not stripping or cross threading. And I'm just going to snug it up. I don't want it to be super tight right now. Then I'm just going to check the rotation again. These servos are a little jittery. I'm not sure if it's the servo tester that's causing the jitters or if it's the servo itself just not quite having enough torque. Might have to change those servos out. They're just cheap servos that I got from Amazon at this point. So now I'm going to go ahead and install the inner eye. And basically when you put it through there, you should be able to, I'm not sure if you can see that, but you should be able to see these inserts through the slot of the outer shell. Now, in the video that I saw, they were only showing using a screw at this point. So again, I'm going to line up the silver part so that I can see that threaded insert through the slot, and then I'm just going to start that screw in there. I think this would work fine, but I wanted to see if I could smooth out the movement. So what I did was I found some brass tubing that fits over these M3 screws and also fits into these grooves. And I'm just going to use that brass tubing, and I'm actually going to use a washer on the, I'm going to use a washer first. Those are just nylon washers that I had laying around. This is all just mock-up again. This isn't a final build, but I'm going to use a washer and then that brass tubing. Again, my thoughts on the brass tubing were that perhaps the brass tubing would provide a little bit smoother of movement through that groove. And the brass tubes on my particular build, let's see if I can get a measurement on these. These brass tubes are 8.89 millimeters, so about 9 millimeters. The 9 millimeters long allows it to basically come through the slots, and this is still loose. The screw is like basically tight. It won't screw in any further, but the silver piece is still a little bit loose, so it's not binding at all. And then again, I'm going to take the screw, the M3 screw, the nylon washer, put my little brass sleeve on there and feed it into the other side. That's the wrong one. And I'm not making these tight right now. I'm not using Loctite either. I'm just mocking this up. So just snuggie it up, and then it's still loose. And then I'm just gonna test it. And there we go. Again, it is dragging a little bit. The servo is a little jerky. I'm not sure if that is the servo tester that's causing that. A little annoying, but we'll see. I also got some silicone grease that I want to try on these grooves. But there you can see how the screws that are screwed into the silver eyepiece, they ride up and down the groove of the outer shell, and they also ride inside that groove of the middle shell. But basically that's how your eyepiece goes together.